Yes, the most risky thing to do at any point in your life is not to consider praying about the circumstances before saying yes or saying no. My name is Udirole, and I am still your Shoemaking Made Easy tutor. Today, you are going to be drafting these three beautiful patterns with me, and of course we are going to be looking at them one after the other. If you're watching for the first time, I need you to know that all we do is make sure making easy and simple for you. I'm sure you want to see what this looks like. Sit back and I am gonna be right back. Alright, the first thing we are definitely going to be doing is I am not going to be drawing it on the shoulders. Now, one of the reasons I always love to do this is to prep anyone who is a total beginner to be able to create amazing and simple designs at the comfort of their own. So, if that is you, then let's go right into this. So, the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be folding this. Now, if you look at the first design we are looking at, which is what we have on the screen, it's an amazing one. And I'm going to try as much as possible to go through all of this simply and simply. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, I implore you to subscribe. You are going to be reducing your family expenses on footwear. You are also going to be building a new stream of income, especially if you intend to actually monetize this knowledge. I tell you, we make it so simple. You will be amazed you could do this right at the comfort of your home. So I have this cardboard. It's one of all those attachment cardboards. They tend to be more stable than others. I am going to be folding it. Don't worry. You can use any cardboard that is available at your disposal. If what you have is a plain sheet, please go ahead and use it. The only thing I'm going to say about plain sheet is that it will be too soft when you want to cut your leather, so you might have to transfer that into another cardboard. I would not suggest that you use carton. However, if you have carton available around you, please, you can go ahead and use it because that crushes so easily. Now, I want you to know that the first part of this design, you'll find out that when you look at the design, this particular part of the design, it has a kind of opening, and on this particular side, on this other side, you'll find out that there is difference between the one on this side and the one on this side. And the amazing difference is that the one on this side, the width of the kind of curve that went this way and the one that went this way, the curve, this width and this width tends to be wider than the one we have on this other side. We have a flap flying over, and we also have a kind of width that's not as much as the one on this other side. So let's first of all start with the one we have on the side. How do I create that? I'm simply going to be making this simple. So I have folded this. The first thing I'm going to be doing is the width of this in between. What width am I going to be using? So my width is actually 3.5 centimeter. 3.5 centimeter. Let me see if I can write that here. 3.5 centimeter. That's the width for the opening, the inner part. I mean just this inner part. I want it to be about 3.5 centimeter or 3 centimeter thereabout here. About 3 to 3.5 centimeter, considering the fact I'm working with a size 40. This my size 40 will work for size 39. It will work for size 38 as well. Now you can reduce all of that even as you use them. So let's quickly first of all create first. Now for what I'm going to be using as my length, from this side to this side, you can actually go ahead and use your tape rule to do all of that measurement. However, let me quickly show us how you can take the measurement to know what length to use. I love to work in centimeter because for me it's much easier. Trust me, I can use any of the units, but this is much more easier as far as I am concerned. For those who does not understand how to use this kind of what did you call it, measurement tape. So let's say I'm having coming, it's going to be stopping somewhere around here, and then let's say it's going this way, or you want it to come this way, and check it. So this is about 10. So 10 plus like 2 or 3 centimeter for my lasting allowance, that is 13. So I am going to be using 13 as my length. So let's go right into that. So this one, don't forget I folded this. Because I folded this, I'm not going to be using exactly 3.2. I'm going to be using half of 3.2 so that when I open it, it will be exactly the 3.5. You understand? I'm not going to be using exactly 3.5. I will divide it by 2. And if I divide it by 2, I think that is about 1.75. So on your ruler, somebody is wondering, Madam, you have started. How do I get 1.75? This is 1.5 on your ruler. The next one is 1.6. The next one is 1.7. In between is 1.75 before you go to 1.8. I hope that's clear. I say this, you must enjoy it and you must understand exactly what I'm doing. So this is what we have here. Now, don't forget that our length is going to be 13 plus the lasting allowance. So permit me to just put it here. I would love to do the same thing on this edge. Let me just try and put this. So that's that. Now for this opening, this part, this opening, there's a small opening. If you look at the design, you find out that, you know, there is a kind of opening that before this one went this way and before that one went the other way. That small opening, I'm going to be using about 1 centimeter for that part. Now I need you to know the kind of design you want to create will determine what width you want to use for that particular one. However, I'm going to be using 1. You can decide to use 1.5. You can decide to use 2 if you want it to be really very wide. But for this, I'm going to be using just 1 centimeter. What does that mean? I am not going to be measuring 1. I'm going to be measuring is 0.5. And if I'm using 1.5 as the total width, I'm going to be measuring is 0.75. So let's go into that. So let's say I'm actually measuring a 0.75, for example. I'm just trying to show us this. Let's say I'm using a 0.75. This is 0.56. This is 7, and 7.5 is around here. So it means this is what I have. Now with what I have, you will find out that if I connect it downwards, it's going to be slant. So it's fine if it's slant. Now I don't want it to be slant. I want it to be a bit curved. I want it to be a bit curved. So I'm going to try to use my free hand. You can get, if you don't want to use your free hand, you can get like if you have all those curve roller, you can use them. So can you see what I have right there? So now what you want to ask yourself is, how wide do I want the extension to look like? Now I'm going to be using about 2.5 as my width. Please just follow me. This is actually amazing. If you look at the design on the screen, you are going to observe that at the point where, you know, we have the curves, like as it's growing up, as the width of the extension is growing up, you find out that it's becoming a little bit, you know, it's not as wide as the initial ones. So I'm going to also try to follow that same process. I'm using just the last part of the inner part of this. So I'm still going to measure 2.5 here. When I'll move up a little bit and reduce it to about 2 centimeter, just move up a bit. You can just follow like 2 centimeter difference. So I'm going to come up again and I'm still going to use about 2. When I get to this side, I can go to about 1.75. Please, it's not like there is a more special. It's because of the way it is. If you want it all of them to be, you know, 2.5, just follow 2.5 upwards like that. But because of the way the style looks like, it's going to be much more better when you do it that way. So we have 1.5 at this point. Don't forget, this is attached to this, attached to this, and attached to this. So when I get to this point, I'm still trying as much as possible, maybe to go to 1.25. I'm just reducing this width as it's going up. Please, that's all I'm doing. So at this point, I want to start using 1. I want to start using 1 at every point here. I want to use 1 at this point as well. So can you see what I have? Can you see what I have? This can actually create a lot more design for you as it is. I can guarantee that. This is not the only way to cut this design. For somebody who might be wondering, is this the only way? Outrightly no. So let's go ahead and trim. So when you get to this part, now this can be wider than this. If you want it to be wider, it can be wider. Please note, it can be wider. Now this is what I have. Can you see what I have? Can you see the way it's stained perfectly well? Can you see what it looks like? So if you want it to be wider, you can actually make it the same, you know. I'm sure you can see that this is wider, you know, than all other parts. I'm sure you can see what I have right here. So if you think this is too wide, you can do this at this point. See, close it a bit. It will automatically affect the width again. This, can you see? Initially it was as wide as this. When I try to close this in a bit, what happens? It reduces it. Are you getting that? So you can actually reduce this from 3.5, you understand, to like 3. You can make it 2 so that it suits the size you want to, you know, create it for. You understand? As this is now, it means I can actually use this also for 41. It looks a bit wide, you understand, considering the design we are working with. So I'm sure you know why this is this wide. So I want you to also note that. So it was because we use what did they call it, 3.5 as this distance. So your own, you can use 3, you can decide to also use 2. So for what we have here, if you bring it to this other side, there's likelihood that it will still work. Can you see it? Can you see it? You can use the same thing for the 2 sides, but I observed that the width of this one is not, the width of the one on this side is not as much as the width on the other side. So what I can do here is decide to reduce this. Now let me show you a particular little trick that you can use to actually, you know, try to reduce the width of this one. For example, don't forget it was like this. Remember, it was like this. Can you remember? Push it in a bit, push it in a bit, then you draw all over again. If you want it to be wider, you can still make it wider. If you want it to be wider, move it back a bit. Probably you want the upper part to be wider. You can hold this down while you make this wider. I will show you what I just did. Can you see? I just walk on this part and made it wider. I just want to show you varieties of things that you can do with all of this. So at this point, I want you to see this. Can you see that it's wider and it's also not as wide as the previous one? So I'm just trying to let you know that that is very feasible. Now on this part, you can actually get a round object to fix that part. If you know, depends on how you want it to look like. So you can use a round object. Just I'll try to attach it here. I wanted to be able to say this, so make sure it's, you know, at least you can, just to make that place round. So can you see what I have right here? So this is a bit wider. I'm sure you can see it's a bit wider. And then let's go back to our okay, so you can see what it looks like. So let's say I'm going to be using this one for this other side, for example. You understand? Let's say I'm going to be using this one. Although it's supposed to be wider, don't forget this is not as wide. You see that this one is not wide, but this one is supposed to be wider, and then you can see that it's quite wide here. So the next thing is, what about that one that came you know, all over it. You can see that this is not as wide as this. I keep repeating that. So now you know how to go about how to do that. I'm sure you should know that by now. You know that by now. So from what I have here, this is what I'm going to do for this, for the flap on top of it. I need you to follow me. I'm just going to create an A shape. Yes, that's what I'm going to be doing. Now before I go ahead with the shape I want to create, don't forget that I cut this from here, so I can still let it come back in between. Can you see that? So let's say this is inside. So what I will do now is I'm going to place this right here. Can you see it? That was what I cut from the middle. I hope you know. That was what I cut from the middle. Can you see that? So what you are going to do now, I think this actually totally settled this, because you can easily fix this. You understand? You can easily use the one you cut from the inner part, following that particular design, to actually do what you have on the at the middle of, you know, at the middle there. So all I did was just fold it, and it came, you know, this way. So you can decide to just stitch this down, stitch it down here. Yes, I mean stitch this down here. Don't forget that this is going to be, the other one is going to be on it coming. So this is going to actually be like this. You have stitched it, just stitch it. After you have created this upper, you have created this, you understand, you can just place it there and stitch it down, or use your rivet in case you don't intend to stitch, or you don't have access to a stitching machine, a sewing machine rather. Just use your rivet to hold it down. Somebody's asking, what is rivets? These are rivets. So you can just ask for a very small size rivet. Don't buy the big ones. You can see that the length of this is not long, so don't buy the one that is too long. You understand? The length of this is just about let me check. This is just about a 0.5 to 0.6. You understand? Centimeter. That small part of the ruler is just half of it, from this long one to this middle one. Can you see what we have at the middle? So the short line at the middle, that's actually where it is. I don't know why it's not focusing properly. The short one at the middle. So it's that short, so you can actually use that and then hold it down. When you hold it down, of course this will be here, this will be going all over it, and then you can easily, you understand, pass it through it. Now this particular part, now you see that if this is not wide enough, you could not take it, you can actually work on that. You can actually work either on this width, or you make this wider. I think for me, I would suggest you leave this way. In short, this is supposed to look more like a square and not round, but it depends on you. So understand? So this one is supposed to be at the back. Why this comes this way? I'm sure you can see what we have right here. This is wider, and this is not as wide as the other one. Now another thing is, if you think this is too wide, you can actually reduce it. If you think this is too wide, this width is wide, please, you can reduce it all around. You know, you can reduce 0.5 and make it slimmer. You understand? You can reduce this as well. Now if you think the width, this whole width is what is too wide for the size you are working with, please reduce the outer part. Reduce the outer part. If it's this inside, this middle part you think is too small for this part, then you can increase this inner part to make it wider. If it is this whole width that you think, oh, this is too wide for the size I'm working with, you can reduce at this point. You understand? You can keep this, then create, you know, another one entirely. Let's go to the second one. Now this is so sweet because we are going to be using this same design to create it. Don't forget, it's going to be a 3-in-1. And are you ready for this? It's your welcome back. Now let's go to the second one, which is what we have right on the screen right now. Now if you look at that, you find out that this part tends to be tiny, big, wide, while the one that is slipping down is tiny. So what do? Pick this up. Don't forget that the style looks more like it's cuff here and cuff here. I'm sure you can see what we have on the screen. So I'm going to go ahead. You can see this. You see this one too. You understand? We can use this. So what does that mean if we are using this one? Let me show you the process. I am going to cut this part of this design, just this part. I'm going to cut an extra part, like another cardboard entirely, then do some attachment to show you how I will be creating it with that design. It's not compulsory. You can also use this if you don't want to use that particular one. You understand? You don't want to use it. So let's go right into that. All right, so now you can see I've placed this here. I need you to follow me as I do this. Can you see what this looks like? I'm just going to stop it right there. Now I'm going to cut it out. Try to trim just this part. Try to trim this part as well. Now don't forget that the design is meant to go this way. It's meant to go this way. I hope you know it's meant to go this way. So from here I can be able to now adjust these downwards. So what does that mean? I'm going to make sure that this is smaller. I want this to come down, just straight down. And then on this side I also want it to come down. So let me see if this looks appropriate. You see that? So I think this looks, you know, perfect. Let's go to this other part. So can you see what I have right here? So if you have two of this, what does that mean? It means that you can put one on one side, then the second one on the other side. So let's say this is what we have. This is going to be here, and we're going to be having the second one right here. I'm sure you can see that. So you can then go ahead and create your bow right on top of that, and that's just all about that particular part. Yes, that's just all about that particular part. I'm sure you can see what I have right here. So just get your bow, get your straight strap, and then just fold it, you know, on top right here. It's just like getting a strap like this. Fold it this way, and also fold the other way like this. Then you can have this here. Don't forget that it was folded at the edge. It doesn't have to be as wide as this, I'm sure you know. So you can reduce all of this. You can reduce it. Yeah, you can reduce it. So this is just going to be here. It will be wider than this, of course. It will be wider than this. If you intend to actually use a very soft leather and you intend to fold the edges, make sure that, you know, it can be this wide. Yeah, let me tell us what the width that I have right here is. This is about 3 centimeters at this point. So by the time you fold here, it can end up becoming 2. This is also 3 centimeters. So by the time you fold like 0.5 here, 0.5 here, you can finally have 2 centimeters, which is actually very perfect. Very perfect. You understand? So you can fold your bow that way and then use a small strap all around it. and you are good to go. Now, if you don't want to fold, like I said, you can reduce this and just cut. I've taught us amazing ways in which you can create uppers without having to stitch. So if you haven't seen that, I would suggest your comment. Please, I would love to see how to create different types of upper, and then I trust God for help to be able to look out for the video for you and then post it there. Please, I'm not promising. I'm still looking for somebody to assign to help me do all of that. While I do all of this, somebody can always help me, with looking for designs for us and patterns for us. It's not always easy. That channel has over 700 videos. I have 700 videos on this channel. So I don't want you to excuse yourself from being competent, from reducing your family expenses on footwear, or from even building a new stream of income. I am doing this with the whole of my heart, and because God sees it, that is the reason He will ensure that anybody who give themselves to it will produce an amazing result even beyond their imagination. Yes, I can guarantee that you're going to have an amazing result even as you follow up on these videos and you practice them as much as you can. You will see designs and be able to create them. Yes, that's the part I'm taking you through. I'm not taking you through a part where every time I must create. I'm raising leaders. I'm not raising followers. I always say this to my students. So in case you have not heard that, Jibbyfemforte is raising leaders. I'm not raising followers. I don't want you to keep depending on me. I want other people to start trusting you to be able to help them out of pattern cutting when it comes to footwear and other areas, of your life. So let's go to the last one for this particular video. Should we postpone this to the next class? I think we should postpone this to the next class. I am going to see you in my next video where we will be creating the third design. I'm still your shoemaking made easy tutor, Ojirole Mojibola. I want to use this opportunity to appreciate everyone who have been supporting this channel. I know some of us just subscribe. I know some people haven't subscribed. If you haven't, please subscribe. And if you haven't joined the community to make it easy for us to produce and to upload videos, please do join join the community. I want to give a shout out to Madam Ogechuku. Thank you so much. I see you support us always. I just want to say thank you, and I trust God that every blessing, even the one you do not think you deserve, the power, the God of all flesh, the God of all flesh will make it happen in your life in the name of Jesus. So please, if you haven't joined our community, please join. You are the one that is making it easy for us to upload videos daily. If you have gone through our channel this month, we outrightly upload every day. I think the few days I have not uploaded, even our live sessions have not been holding because of circumstances that is beyond my control. It wasn't an intentional one, and I want to apologize to everyone who are always expecting on Thursdays. I am looking out to how to make sure that we don't miss Thursday's live session, but what happened was just beyond my control, I must say that. And I'm looking out to how I can deploy other strategies to make us always have live sessions and be able to ask me questions. If you would love to join our online classes, we have courses, amazing courses. Go to the comment section and go check the link and see the amazing courses and hop into any of them that you think suitable for you. I want you to know that I love you so much, but Jesus loves you much more. Do have a wonderful day. Bye.